Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tunji Offeyi show. And today with us is no other person than the all-round man of the heart. That's what I like to call him, Juwon Ogungbe. He's going to be telling us today more about his new EP. Uh, we used to call it album back in the days. I think it's still valid to call it an album coming up. And it's titled Pilgrimage. That will be the focus of our talk today. Juwon is not new on our show, and he's happy to sing for us, I believe. And just as usual, welcome to the show, Juwon Ogungbe. This is the Tunji Offeyi show. You want to introduce yourself quickly? Over to
Well,
you.
hello, Tunji, and hello to everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you for agreeing to have me yet again, Tunji. And I hope we can have a fruitful, engaging conversation that will be appealing and of interest to all the people that might be tuning in.
Sure. So a little bit about your background, for the sake of people meeting you for the first time, there's always one person, at least I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's many people, but yeah.
So,
Well, if you ask me some questions, then maybe I can
just
tell my journey.
with Juwon Ogungbe, yeah, that's what I mean, the background briefly. So we'll go into the groove properly.
Okay, well, I'm a musician. I'm a music person primarily. I compose, I sing, I do education work in music. I do music in various different settings. So some of the work is like singing. In the long for a very long time, I was a band leader. And I also did a lot of work with theatre companies as a composer and music director. And then I've sung like in operas and that side of things as well. So my work sort of is basically like it stretches across the performing arts, and I worked with dance people as well, and occasionally I've had to shake a foot with them too. So that's kind of the range of what I do. I'm a performing artist, and I think in my current sort of well, in my current phase of my career and life, I think I'm primarily a recording artist, and that has been something that has happened partially because of the pandemic and the fact that it has been less comfortable, less easy to get together with fellow musicians, performers, artists, and do things, you know, to keep the lurgy away, as it were. Um, but yes, I've been doing a lot of recording. So, like last year, I did 2 EPs. And EPs can be called albums, but they're not the same as LPs. So EP, like EP stands for extended player, LP stands for long player. Yes, and so the standard album is an LP, which would have at least 8 tracks most of the time,
In- yeah.
songs. EPs have more like say 5.
All right. Thanks
I
for
just
the
found that,
clarity.
and I found that to be more kind of comfortable kind of medium or sort of format for me, because when you're doing 8 for some reason or 10 songs, it feels like as if you got to invest that much more time and resources into making it happen, whereas like doing 5 just feels coverable. um, well, it just feels like comfortable for me. So last year I did 2, and this year I've done another one. So yes, recording has been like the primary focus of my career in recent times.
Amazing. Yeah. So I'd like to know, maybe I'm sure there'll be someone out there as well who would like to know, is there any connection with your educational background and what you now do?
Well, yes. Well, I did go to music college. I went to Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London. And before that, I was in University of Ife. before it became, just to give you a sense of how old I am, this was before the days of Obafemi Awolowo University when I was there. And I wasn't studying performing arts or music or anything, but I was very, very kind of active in the performing arts while I was in Ife in those days. And before that, I was in King's
So what did
College.
you study in Ife?
Sorry?
What did you study in Ife back then?
I started with modern European languages, and then I moved to law. My father was a lawyer, basically, and I was coerced to change to study law, but that wasn't really what I regarded as my calling. So as soon as I could get away from that, I did.
Amazing. So what did you move into lastly? We just have to ask this background question if you're comfortable to answer them.
Um, you mean like I was going backwards?
So
Yeah.
what did you finish in?
What did I finish in? Like in Ife or
Yeah, yeah.
law?
Oh, okay.
But I didn't actually complete the course. I decided to leave. Well, I left as soon as I could do. But having said that, I was in Ife for like 4 years. I was actually there for 4 years. So that's about as long as most
Yeah.
people in their first degree do.
Yeah, I
You
was
know what
going
I'm
to say
saying? Yeah. And so I came eventually to music college and did that to do.
all right. So let's leave the background. I think it's enough now. We're grinding here and there now. So we might as well start going straight to the point because the real essence of today's show is to talk about pilgrimage. But as you know, there's no pilgrimage without Juwon Ogungbe, and there's no Juwon Ogungbe perhaps without pilgrimage. So it's interlocked, right?
Frozen. Sorry, say that again. There's no pilgrimage
Without Juwon Ogungbe, and vice versa. Yeah, if you get what I mean.
oh,
So you and your
okay.
works are intertwined, right? So that's why
Well,
we
yeah.
have to talk about you a little, and then we're gonna talk about the work, and it's still the same.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, good. So how do you feel about this new EP pilgrimage coming up? Or is already out there in beats?
How do I feel about pilgrimage? Is that what you say? Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking? Or
this new debut of yours, you're just launching for us fresh, your fresh cut EP, your new EP.
well, I mean, interestingly, yesterday I went to do an interview like on a radio station, for Ferrity Radio, which is based in London. And DJ Freestyle, who was the presenter, played all the tracks from the EP while we were talking, which was like a really nice thing of him to do, plus other music of mine from recent times and way, way, way back, and it was nice to hear that music in the context of everything else that I've recorded. Or like where the various stages of my development as a recording artist. And I feel um, good, optimistic about it because I feel that I am sort of becoming more focused in what I aim to encapsulate or symbolize as an artist in the recording arena, um, and um, and also the subject matter of it, the theme of pilgrimage, came across very clearly when he played those songs on the radio. It was like listening, you know, listening in a sort of detached way, as if it was me listening to someone else. It was all very, very clear what was going on. And so I feel sort of buoyant. I feel pleased that that's the case. But obviously there's still a long way to go. It's a long journey, developing as an artist, and like it never ends. It's a never ending journey. One wants to, up one's game as much as one can. And so there are things that I heard that I felt um, I would want to kind of, improve on or make different, like the next time I do a recording.
Great. So I was wondering, because of the background of this new work of yours, new EP coming up, you seems to want to create controversy between religions. It's just my own assumption. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That is between the Western religion and the traditional religion. What are you up to, Juwon? What are you driving at?
So are you accusing me now of being a polemicist?
No, I thought
We're playing a game of like tennis here, aren't we? Like, so I'll, bat it back at you. Well, no, I wouldn't say that I'm aiming to sort of be provocative in like making the point of the recording. It was more like, well, I believe that, well, music is a symbol like any other art form, and art forms should be about something. They're about like symbolizing things. And it seems to me that one issue that is not dealt with enough or not confronted, openly enough amongst people, certainly
line is freezing.
in West African countries, is this thing of how we sort of, how do we select our values? You know, the Abrahamic religions are with us to stay, and there's no who we are now if your parents, my parents hadn't had like West
You're
Christianity,
free-
or in
yeah.
some cases Islam, or whatever it is, that we would not be we are
I-
something that
If may I
my
suggest you leave
great
the location? Your line is freezing. You're freezing. Maybe you want to change location if it's okay.
is it freezing now?
It's okay now. So let's hope it keeps, yeah, like this. Yeah.
Okay. Um, like my, I feel that on the other hand, that there are the beliefs that and great 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 grandparents would have had before, Christian missionaries or Muslim, they did or spread the word of what they believed in the homesteads that our families come from. Yes. And I believe that a lot of our people actually the baby with the bathwater. They can't just say, well, okay, that I turn my back completely on everything to do with the values and beliefs of our forebears. To varying degrees, people still sort of people in the Western world, like, let's face it, all these festivals like Christmas and Easter, religious observances that came in African communities. There are things that are their values before Christianity, Islam, whatever came along, you know, partakes in that. But, once it gets to a certain point, maybe people want to argue about how much of this, or where do you draw the line in terms of, you know, in that way. So you get people who behind closed doors, where it is, that is more in line or in keeping with the, traditional belief systems. but at the same time, they will profess to be Christians or profess to be. It's not something that people are willing to say up front. It's not something people are willing to just. And I think that really is what pilgrimage is about. It's about the fact that, well, what's the big deal anyway? While we're here, we can live our lives and choose what we want to do. Actually, makes sense.
Yeah, though I am kind of struggling with the phrasing internet, but it's all right. We just have to pull through. So what I want to say is that many people might be like, okay, especially people from coming from the
See,
Christian point of view.
um,
Yeah. Want to
I
say
don't know
something?
if me moving, I don't know if it'll make any difference.
If maybe, yeah, but we just carry on. As I said, the show must go on. So
Yes.
yeah. So the thing is, someone might argue with you that you can serve God and mammon. I'm
Go into
not.
another room. Hold on, I'm going to go into another room. The only
That's fine.
problem is in this room.
Yeah.
In this room, there's going to be like some noise. That's why I didn't want to use it. How does it feel in here?
I can
Is the
hear.
internet better here?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're not freezing anymore. I hope it's.
Okay. So what I did was I moved away from, um, well, the hub of where the internet's coming from, because I've got like a washing machine on, which I guess most of us got the weekend. You know what I'm saying? So, but how does it feel now?
Yeah, it's all right now. So let's hope it stays so, like I said earlier on. So, like I was saying, some people coming from let's say the Christian point of view might just say, you can't serve God and mammon. Okay, I say mammon in quote now. It's not my place to, you know, label any religion, be it African or otherwise. So are you not thinking like you're trying to cross-fertilize religion, which might not work together, like mixing water and kerosene?
Well, I mean, like if you look at, for example, and I've already given you the example of what happens here, like Christmas was basically based on like the winter solstice, which is a pagan festival. Jesus Christ wasn't actually born on the 25th of December. He was born on another point of the year. But when the Christians, the Romans, brought Christianity to Western Europe, they decided that one way that they could like make it something that people would, the communities would accept into their stride, would be to like put those Christian festivals within, um, well, the calendar of activities that people were already used to. Yes, that doesn't mean that they're not Christians. It just means that they've also co-opted elements of the beliefs that were there before into their Christian practice. And the Christmas tree, what has that got to do with Jesus Christ? Santa Claus, what has Santa Claus, I mean, actually got to do with Jesus Christ? Saint Nicholas, there are elements of like, the Yule log. What has the Yule log got to do with Jesus Christ? There are a lot of those things that are not there. These are things that are related to like Norse tradition, Scandinavian, Western European um, observances. Yeah, and the same thing with Easter. Like the Easter bunny is all to do with like fertility, like the fertility festival of pagan ritual and all that sort of thing. But that is associated
That
with like,
Dionysus or something.
sorry.
Is that Dionysus, the Greek?
No. It's a goddess called Easter, but that is spelt Aoe, something like that. It begins with A-O something.
Oh,
The Easter spelt like that. That is the name of this goddess, that, the whole idea of the bunny comes from, and to do with fertility, and it was from that, the spring sort of like solstice festival, that the idea of like, Easter was plonked on top of that. So Christ's kind of like rising after his death was then associated with this pagan festival. Yeah. So is that mixing God with Mammon? I wonder.
Okay, we will have to leave it here for now. Because I guess it's not about me or you. It's about the people out there anyway to decide, to draw their conclusions, wherever they want to go with. Some would say, all this thing you're saying, without disrespect, they can say it's Tales by Moonlight. Some people will say, oh, it's making a lot of sense. This is not for me. I mean, journalists, I just have to sit on it.
Why would
So
you say Tales by Moonlight though? Because it's a
I
fact.
just,
You can go and do the research. It's there. Like just
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not
Google,
me. I
Google is
said,
your friend. Kind of thing. It's all there. The information is there about like
yeah,
Easter
that's what.
being what it is, like at the winter solstice, like Beltane and sort of all these different festivals. Yule is the name of the winter solstice, the festival of Wicca, which is a traditional religion of, well, certainly the British Isles and probably Scandinavian countries and that sort of thing. You know, um, the point is we celebrate Christmas at the same time, and we use symbols, accoutrements, or whatever of Yule in celebrating Christmas.
All right, Juwon, let's not drag this too long. So there are many opportunities. There could be symposium, workshop in the future, to explore this further. Why not? So let's just leave it into the corner and go on with the rhythm of the day, yeah, with the flow and the plan of the interview. So I want to know, did you today something huge happened? Was it maybe between yesterday or today? The woman at the aged woman at the octogenarian, not octogenarian, mixing it up. It's like over 100 anyway. So we learned the custodian of the shrine, late Senator uh, Sunny. I want to make sure I get the name correctly. Popularly known as Mama Olumo was buried according to the Egungun cult she belonged to. I
Okay.
think last night and today. So I know we're going to get to some aspect where I ask you more question about this still on your EP. Did you meet her per chance because it was more like a tourist attraction on her own when you visited the rock in Abeokuta?
Well, to be honest with you, it's an imagined visit. I have passed through Abeokuta in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't actually been to the shrine. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been to the rock. I haven't done anything like that. This is all from my imagination. I've created something from my imagination. I can't tell you if you arrive in Abeokuta, go down that road there. It's called XYZ Street. I can't tell you that because I don't know that. Yes, but my mother came from near to Abeokuta, so um, I just felt that I wanted to, well, honor that part of my lineage by creating something that has a connection to that.
So it's more of your imagination.
Yes.
Okay, I get it now. I was thinking you're physically present there.
No, 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 no. It's not reportage at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
actually
see.
like making a story. It really is making a story.
Yeah, okay. It's not like a face-to-face experience or something like
No, no.
that. Okay, you just travel down there in your thinking. It's fine. Your imagination.
Yeah.
So we don't, there's no point to explore that further anyway, since
Well,
you,
I mean, there might be some things about what you've you've discovered there that will be interesting to include in the conversation. I'm perfectly happy to talk about them, but I can't tell you much about Mama Olumo because I don't really know much about her.
exactly. So there's no point yeah,
Yeah.
expatiating on that. So at this point, traditionally when we have a musician in the house, more so a musician of your caliber, it's only normal for us to ask for a freestyle this time around from the hippie. So people, if you don't mind, so people can have a taste of what we've been talking about, pilgrimage.
Oh gosh, I mean, like that's a bit of a tall order because, like, the music is very much dependent on it's like it's there's like the accompanying music and the singing that go together. If I sing like the melodies in isolation, it won't give you a clear sense. I can sing you something else, But
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever works. Yeah, we have to go with that.
All right. Well, let's see. Um, and I hope this is something that I didn't sing. I hope I didn't sing this last time I was with you, but I'm just going to sing something that comes to mind straight away. And
It's
that's
just song. You can't repeat it. It doesn't matter. They belong to you, isn't it? So,
no, this is not a song of mine. It's a folk song.
oh, okay. Folk song you meant. Okay. Let's have
Yeah.
it. All right.
All right. So, neta neta lore oe, neta neta lore oe, ìkànnì uwasun nílẹ̀, ìkànnì uwasun lẹ́ni, ìkànnì uwasun láyà, mo ṣojú èrè mo bá láyà lọ. Mo ti lọ mọ ogun, mo ti lọ mọ sá, mo ti lọ mọ pọ́dálẹ̀ odò. Ọ̀pẹ wẹ́wẹ́ ṣekú pàpákó, iṣẹ́ ìkẹ́lẹ́ ṣekú pọkùnrin. Ọ̀tẹ̀ bàdàn mógun wájàlú, odídẹrẹ́ ṣekú yẹ̀yẹ́. Yeah, yeah, oh Lord, oh.
Wow. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. I really like the song in particular. And is it Jimmy Sholanke kind of star? Yeah.
Well, I guess you could say that. I don't know. I mean, I've met Uncle Jimmy once or twice, and
He's the
I
one.
never heard him sing it though. But I mean,
Yeah, he's the one with this type of baritone stuff. Yeah, I really appreciate what you've just done. In your own right, I'm not trying to compare.
oh yeah, sure. I mean, not a problem. I mean, the song that zillions of people must have sung through the years. So I mean, it's quite possible that you'd have heard someone that it reminds you of.
Yeah, it's fine. So now let's gradually moving into the EP properly. Let's start putting them apart one by one now, as much as we can. So how did you come by the sound beat of Letting Go by Baggage? I like that one in particular. There's so many one I like, but that particular track, the beat,
The
how did?
beat of it.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Uh, well, I mean, I don't know if there's a way of explaining that. In a sort of concrete way, because with me, sometimes the melodies just come, the music just comes, and I just go with what comes to me. I know that I wanted it to have a feeling of something like old time juju music to an extent. So like the opening sort of melody that you get is a bit like something you would have heard like from a record by Obey or Prince Adekunle or someone like that, but then of course when I start, the actual narrative of the song is a very different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's basically it's me and it's my ideas and me sort of like taking on my own creative journey. So
So
yeah.
it was more of a fusion of juju and your own lyrics.
No, I wouldn't say it was a fusion of juju. I'd just say that, sometimes when you start creating something, you have like a fragment of an idea. I'm talking for myself anyway. I have a fragment of an idea, and that fragment is like the sort of foundation, it's like the stepping stone or whatever you want to call it, from which ideas then begin to flow. And in this case, I started with something that was like it could be like the beginning of a juju record or whatever. But then after that, then I was going off on my own tangent. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the background, but it's a very nice piece because I could just sleep listening to the beats alone, not even to talk about the lyrics, which were equally very impactful. And I encourage anyone, if you're watching this, it's something you have to really listen to. I think it goes for £7. We're gonna
Well,
talk.
you mean that's the whole EP? Yes.
Is it £7 for the whole EP, not just for the
That's for
single?
the whole EP. But then,
Oh,
of course, like if you are willing to pay more, there's a facility on Bandcamp to pay more.
okay. We're going to talk about the marketing aspect of it. We'll come to that
Yes.
because that's why it's called showbiz. There's
Well,
a
of course, you know,
huh?
like business is part of, you know, there's no
Yeah,
business like show business. There's no business like show. You know, it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
It is what it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell us more about the Elders in the Dome. Why? How did you come by that? And what were you driving at with that song?
Well, musically, what happened was like the opening melody was something that I actually um heard. You know, that kind of when you wake up from sleep and you're kind of half awake, half asleep, and something. Well, for me anyway, I hear music like that. I hear tunes sometimes, and it came to me like that in an imprint. It was so it was a gift from my subconscious mind or intuition or whatever it was. And so immediately I went and put it down that this is, you know, I can use this because I feel that it's kind of taking me where I want to go with this stage of the narrative of the whole EP and what it's about. Um, but then the idea was that the character um, who is going through the experience in this case um, is visiting a church in Abeokuta and is like talking directly to one person there who has like been a hostess, as it were, to him, and explaining why he has come from abroad and what he wants to achieve through being there. You know, in a sense, to kind of uh, walk, try to walk in the steps of his forebears who would have been in that same kind of setting at one point or the other. And as you probably know, Abeokuta was the place where the Anglican missionaries first settled in Yoruba land. Um, and like, well, as I say, it's my mother kind of is like was from that sort of part neck of the woods, and therefore, like my grandfather, you know, who was literate and actually was a teacher and various things, you know, and I don't know whether I don't think his mother wasn't literate, as in that's my great grandmother now, but my grandfather was, and so he would have had access to like Western education and probably would have been to one of those Anglican churches or not in that area, and so I wanted to kind of vaguely imagine what it would have been like. I wanted the character to imagine what it would have been like for a grandparent who had been through that process, and then I want to relate it as well to something that happened to me in 1999. I went to Nigeria and did some performances, and I sang in a church in Idiaraba in Lagos called Chapel of the Healing Cross.
I think
Uh,
I, you
it's it's kind of like close to Luth University of Lagos Hospital, and so I sang arias from the Messiah, Handel's Messiah, and that sort of thing, and all sorts of people came, you know, like sort of military musicians, a lot because for some reason the word had spread that this guy was going to come and sing this stuff, and he'd come from London, and so it was really interesting being there. But afterwards, I was invited to be in the sanctum with the preacher and all of that. And for me, it was like, okay, well, it's nice that they've invited me. But like the person, like the friend that I was with, who was like a chaperone to me, he was really blown away by the fact that we were invited to be there. That, oh wow, we're sitting with these people. This is so amazing. I never thought, I'd be in this position. And in a way, it's like the elders in the dome. Part of it was like trying to, bring part of that experience into the storytelling.
do you forget at all?
Sorry,
Do you forget at all? Like
how do you forget?
talking about memory, now this is 1999. It appears once something gets stuck in your brain, it doesn't leave. Am I right there to say that?
Well, like I was, I've had a lot of. I mean, like I don't. how can I put it? Like, not everything stays in my mind all the time, but sometimes my memory is jogged by particular things, and like I've been in a lot of places, seen a lot of things, and it's all there, like sort of stored away somewhere at the back of my mind. Yes.
Well, that's as I said, the human brain is so huge, and I think it's even bigger than the average computer. So, and some are just a genius. Maybe you actually belong to that. But I agree with you. Some experiences are actually so unique that they just can, they are etched permanently in your memory, and whenever you need them, they come up. And I think that has done you, that has served you well in composing Elders in the Dome, from what you've explained to us. Well done. All right, let's talk more about another of your song. So I want to know what convinced your ancestors are with you, that made you compose a song. Do you believe in spirits? When you're talking about the ancestors.
Well, yes, and I mean, I believe it. I believe that we have the bodies, and that there's something that animates our bodies, whatever that thing is our, our spirits, our souls, and those souls kind of add up to one great spirit, but there are different aspects of that great spirit, and each of us is one of those aspects, like in animated form, as we are present on the earth plane, and also if we're not on the earth plane, if we're on the spirit plane, you know, uh, so um, in my sort of many travels, I have like been involved in spiritualism in the past, going to spiritualist church, which is like very much a sort of Western European whatever kind of thing, where they believe in similar things, to that. They talk of the Great Spirit. They talk of like people that come and give, like mediums that come and give um, what they call demonstrations of like when they like if they're clairvoyance or clairaudience or that sort of thing. Um, so that is what I'm trying to say here is that that is present regardless of the cultures that we come from. Like there's that stuff in cultures like all over the world, and that human beings everywhere. Um, excuse the noise from the machine. Um,
This one.
yeah, um, human beings from all over the world, I think, are aware that there is something other than just the fact that we're here and now, alive, well, supposedly alive the way we are. I believe that the spirits of the people who we seemingly lose don't are not completely gone, that they're around somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know how to put this now. The last time I spoke to you, you clearly identify with the Christian religion. So now, so you tend to talk more about the ancestors. Has anything changed? However, between things move very fast in life, and people do change. So has there been a shift, sort of, that's pushing you more towards the ancestors kind of a belief, ancestral beliefs?
Well, my brother is a pastor. Well, I shouldn't really drag him into this, but I mean, he is a pastor, and like on one occasion, I told him that I'd been going to like spiritualist church, and he said, "Do they believe in Jesus Christ? Are they for Jesus?" And they don't necessarily talk about Jesus, as far as I know. They talk more about departed or souls that are on the spirit plane. You know, um, but I have like had a very open mind regarding um, faith and beliefs, and I've explored a lot of different things in my years. There was a time when I used to go to like Buddhist um, fellowships, Nichiren Daishonin Buddhist fellowships. I still have the liturgy of like Nichiren Daishonin in my bedroom. I don't read, I don't chant nowadays, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and all of that, but it's something that I had done in the past. And then I used to be involved in a group that's sort of Japanese based, that do a mixture of um, Shintoism and Buddhism. And so comparing my experience like with the Buddhists to the one with the Shintoists was also something quite interesting because they chanted as well and they had something that was a bit like what the Buddhists call a gohonzon. They had a similar type of thing, but the ritual was different. And they believe in spirits. The Japanese, I mean, they'll say things like, well, don't go near cemeteries or don't walk through cemeteries because you might get somehow affected by the spirit, by evil spirits or by spirits that are mischievous or whatever. And that is part of what they believe. You know, so through all of this, I have been a nominal Christian, yes. But
Nominal Christian. Can you? I'm not here to drag you into religion or anything like that, but bringing stuff up, so I have to just engage you on that. So, how do you define nominal Christian? Why the word nominal attached to it? You're either a Christian or not a Christian, I think. I don't know.
well, I mean, like my values, my kind of the values that I live my life by, I think, are steeped in Christianity because that was what I was born into, and I mean, I've never been in any kind of church-going sort of setting as a family. You know, all of my upbringing, none of it. There was no regular church going. The church going only happened like maybe when I was in boarding house at school or something, but not any other time. So I haven't really had that sort of. Um, I've not felt under any sort of duress.
Education or anything.
You know, I haven't felt that it was compulsory that I had to be, sort of that I had to give allegiance to any particular way of doing things. But
So,
yeah, when I
sorry
was
to.
a teenager, I actually decided myself that I wanted to be confirmed, and I got confirmed. I attended the lessons or whatever, the Cathedral Church of Christ, in Marina. I mean, I did it, and I was confirmed there. And I told my father, and he said, "Did you get my permission? Who told you you could go and do that?" I just did it myself out of interest. You know, and it wasn't because I was like some kind of devout Christian or anything. It was more like I was just interested.
So more like you, someone that if you're filling a form, like maybe they has your religion, you can put Christianity sort of. It doesn't go more than that or something like that. Yeah. So am I okay? Am I
Well, I
correct?
mean, like if I had to like say something about like my religion, I would describe myself as a Christian, because my values,
Yeah.
my terms of reference for right and wrong and all that sort of thing are based in Christianity. Yeah, and I'm more likely to celebrate Christmas and Easter than I am to celebrate sort of Ramadan. If you see what I mean. Yes.
Okay. Let's leave religion aside, but sometimes these things are interwoven, and we can't just escape discussing some things here and there just to, yeah. It all makes, I think it's all part of our humanity anyway, whether we like it or not. So at this point, I want to know, you're having this creative collaboration with Professor Pitika Ntuli from South Africa. What's this collaboration all about? Is it just about the album launch, or is it more, there's more to it? Tell us about it.
Well, Pitiko Ntuli is someone I've known for many, many years, and he has been a mentor to me. I mean, like, well, he was a mentor to me because I mean, I guess I've sort of outgrown that stage of being a mentee. But at that point, like in my young adult years, he was somebody who took me under his wing and sort of uh, he taught me a lot, and he is a sculptor and poet. He used to live in the UK, but then when South Africa, when the laws changed, when Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and there was like going to be a big change in South Africa, he relocated. He moved to South Africa then, but he comes back to the UK very often, and so through the years we've done many collaborations right from those days when I was a lot, a kiddo, and like just doing things like just writers' workshop performances with him and that sort of thing. Until more recent, where he did a massive sort of exhibition in with a gallery in South Africa that involved um, him creating about 40 different sculptures, but then he invited different artists to make sort of creative responses, either through music or some other form, and record them, and they would all be put together. So almost like a sort of music video type of form, where you'd have the sculpture, and you'd have the music going with it, and that sort of thing. And it was all put together on the website. This all happened during the lockdown, and that particular exhibition won a Global Fine Art Award. Um, so that's been within the last couple of years. So Katika and I go back a long way, and we've had an active sort of collaborative sort of um, ethos all the way through that. And well, not too long ago, he called. Well, he sent me a WhatsApp message and said, "Well, if you still like me, would you set this poem to music?" And so he sent me this poem, a long poem, and I thought, well, I mean, Patika's getting on a bit now, and I just thought, well, I can't just say no because I don't want to regret saying no, that sort of thing. And I did that, and I created some music for this poem, and basically the idea is that I will perform that piece based on his poem in the album launch, and well, like I'm hoping that he will be available to have a conversation with me in the launch as well.
Okay, that's clear, and thank you for giving us background about your friendship and your relationship and with this great artist from South Africa. And then we look forward to the collaboration. You're probably going to talk more about that when we're wrapping up. That'll be about the last question. It's going to be the marketing side, which is I kept on purpose as the last so that we can dwell more on it. So I'd like to know, do you think, because, I mean, I've known you maybe, it's been a long time now, and since I've known you, it's all about the heart. I got to know you through what you do and all that. And so I'm beginning to think, and you have this nexus with universities, I think even in the United States where you spend time. Will you be happy to take up a position, maybe like a professor of practice in what you do based on your experience? Are you happy to share your knowledge at that level if the opportunity arises?
Well, I have done that. I did that sort of work at University of Richmond, Virginia in 2012. And last autumn, I taught at Sheffield Hallam University. So even now, I'm still on their books as an associate lecturer.
So almost as if I could imagine it. And it's already been done. Okay, great to hear that. Okay, so you can see that we're on the same frequency. So it's not a mistake. We're talking together. I can really understand your personality. Okay, now we got coming to the very end of the show. Funny how time flies when you having fun and discussing important issues. Unfortunately, the time is never enough, but we just have to stick to the script. So, where can people obtain a copy of Pilgrimage? Talk about how they can get the marketing. Anything you want to do now is your time to sell your heart, Mr. Juwon.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, the main thing is that Pilgrimage is available. I will start from my Bandcamp page, and that is at www.juwonogungbe.bandcamp.com. So on the Bandcamp page, you go to find my name on there, and then you'll find my page that has all of my releases in recent times available. And so that's the one where it's like £7, or or you can pay more if you want to support my work, kind of thing. Um, And so that's the first port of call. Now, outside of like the Bandcamp page, it's available on streaming platforms, and I would say probably all the major ones, including Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, Deezer, etc., etc. So if you want to, to hear the music before making a decision to buy it, perhaps, for example, you can always go and listen to it on one of those streaming platforms. But what I would also request of the listeners is that it would be nice if you could follow me on Spotify and on Bandcamp, because the more it's a bit, it helps like an algorithmic, the algorithms, if an artist appears to have followers. So to help to support the work, it would be helpful if you could follow, uh, which would mean that it will get more exposure for the music, which I think would be a nice thing. Well, certainly it would be a nice thing for me, but then I think it might be a nice thing for other people too.
Yeah, great. Lastly, lest I forget, before I have made my little last request, if it's okay by you, I might as well just make it now after I ask my question. Are you happy to sing us out of the show, number one, with any type of song you like, just to wrap it up? But before then, I want to know if I'm right, you've been around for over 6 decades, correct?
I've
So
been what, sorry?
you've been around for over 6 decades now. So what has kept you so young? You've really done well in that regard. So you want to tell us the secret before you sing us out of the show, if it's okay by you?
My secret, gosh, there isn't really a secret. I mean, I guess you listen to your body, and I try to sort of keep. Well, I mean, I don't want to say just like mouth platitudes like keep fit, but I mean, I do kind of try to do a little bit of exercise every day, and think also about what I consume. So uh, moderation is a good thing, I think, in general terms, and then also I suppose grooming as well, like just kind of looking after oneself. Um, I think if we all sort of, it's not just women that can sort of should be preoccupied with grooming. I think men should be interested in that as well. So whatever that would entail, lots of different ways. I mean, I know people from Nigeria, men from Nigeria, sometimes are a bit, they get a bit sort of confused. Oh, you go to a yoga class. Why would you do a thing like that? Oh, you use shampoo. Why do you use shampoo or conditioner? Why do you do, no, no, why not? It's like, it's like these are kind of choices that you can make. Um,
That'll make a difference. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great. That's non-musical question, but it's still a part of it anyway. Yeah, nice talking to you, Mr. Juwon Ogungbe. We look forward to the launch of the EP itself in June.
Oh yes,
Uh,
just to say about that, um, the actual launch is on the 25th of June.
yeah.
It's going to be on Twitter Spaces. Yeah, so I'm going to be sending out like a link to lots of people, but it will also be available to see on my Twitter page. My Twitter handle is at Jimvon, which is JIMVON. Or I'm sure if you just search for my name, Juwon Ogungbe, you'll find it.
It
So
comes up.
yeah, Twitter. So if this is Twitter Spaces, I think the best place to go is Twitter to find it, really. Um, yeah, so it'll be 6 p.m. on Saturday, the 25th of June, and it will have, be able to listen to the tracks, uh, and I'll perform live the piece with that I did that created from Petika's poem, and hopefully I'll have a conversation with Petika as well. So that's what will be happening.
All right. Thanks once again. There you have it, dear viewers. This is Juwon Ogungbe on the Tunji Offeyi show. It's been a nice time. And now we just look forward for him to give us a parting shot song. So we wrap up the show on a happy note, if okay by you, Mr. Ogungbe.
All right. Well, I'll sing you a little bit of a song of mine that I created for uh, a show that was based or inspired by Amos Tutuola's The Palm Wine Drinkard, which was called Threshold. So that involved me and Oladipo Agboluaje and Chuck Mike. Um, we were the collaborators that made that work. And I wrote this particular song is called Oloyin Momo, uh, which means the purveyor of the sweetest honey, but it just happens to be the name in this case of the wife of the palm wine tapper. And if you know the story of the palm wine drinkard, the
Yeah.
palm wine tapper goes looking for his wife in this wife's soul in the spirit world. Yes. Okay.
Give it.
Yeah. So olóyìnbọmọ mi padà wá kó súnmọ́ mi dúró tì mí ò nínú òtútù ní alẹ́ olóyìnbọmọ mi padà wá kó súnmọ́ mi dúró tì mí ò nínú òtútù ní alẹ́. Oyin, oyin olóyin mọ́mọ́, oyin, oyin olóyin mọ́mọ́, dúró tì mí o nínú òtútù ní alẹ́. Oyin, oyin olóyin mọ́mọ́, oyin, oyin olóyin mọ́mọ́, dúró tì mí o nínú òtútù ní alẹ́.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.